You won't believe how one solitary act in the Senate flipped everything a country thought it learned about loyalty, truth, and the price of ambition. Have you ever asked yourself what becomes of a promise to the people when it is put to the most stringent scrutiny? Press play to take the plunge. They tell you that one vote can make history, but what if one vote could shatter a man's soul? In the hushed corridors of influence, where ambition speaks louder than conscience, a senator made a decision he thought no one would ever witness. But America was watching. Have you ever found yourself thinking about what occurs when duty is tried, and truth would not remain hidden? When a man rises up, not for claps, but for the mere vow to never abandon his people? Tonight, we will journey together through a narrative of betrayal, of redemption, and of the silent strength of staying upright when the world insists you should go down. Get comfortable, and let us start. Senator Thom Tillis thought he could quietly stand against President Trump's landmark bill without much fuss. But the moment word got out about his no vote, Trump didn't hesitate. He struck back swiftly and publicly. This was a political showdown no one would forget. You're about to see how a single act of defiance turned into instant regret for Tillis. It was shortly after 6 p.m. in Washington, D.C. The Senate chamber buzzed with a nervous anticipation. Cameras snapped away continually, and screens illuminated rooms around the nation. President Donald J. Trump, the 47th President of the United States, had gambled on everything for this moment. His own signature bill, the big, beautiful bill, was on the cusp of being voted on. It was designed to reform American jobs and taxes for working families, flood dollars into veterans' care, and propel Trump's vision of a freer, stronger, cleaner America. Then the unthinkable happened, on live television. Republican Senator Thom Tillis of North Carolina cast a no vote. The chamber was stunned into silence. Reporters leapt to their feet. You could hear the gasps. It wasn't just a rejection. It came from a member of Trump's own party. A second later, Tillis leaned in toward the microphone. His voice was steady. "The president is experiencing a mental decline," he stated. "We cannot afford chaos disguised as leadership." The nation exploded. Twitter went haywire. News alerts popped up. Talk shows rushed to report the story. And yet, while the media foamed at the mouth, President Trump remained silent. He said nothing at first. That evening in the West Wing, Trump viewed the coverage in silence. His aides viewed him with equal intensity. No tantrums, no outrage, just an intense stare, eyes aglow with piercing intensity. Baron Trump slipped into the room carrying his father's phone. "Dad," he said softly, "Tillis thinks you're finished." Trump took the phone, stood up, and straightened his suit jacket. "He thinks I'm done?" Trump said, his voice low. "Good. Let's show him what done really looks like." He walked into the Roosevelt room where his advisors were waiting. "Draft the post," he told them. "We're going public tonight. I'm finished playing nice." Minutes later, Trump's social media channels lit up with a statement that was blunt and direct. Senator Thom Tillis just voted no on the big, beautiful bill to help the American people. He says I'm in mental decline. He should check his own record and bank account. The internet exploded. In less than an hour, the post had garnered more than 10 million views. The hashtag #TillisTraitor trended. Even other Republicans were whispering, "What did Trump say about that bank account?" Then came the ultimate shock. At 11:30 p.m., President Trump live-streamed, not from the White House press briefing room, but directly from his phone with nothing censored. "I remained quiet out of respect for the process," Trump started, staring straight into the camera. "But tonight, I'm sharing with the American people the truth." His voice never cracked. Senator Tillis accepted $1.2 million from foreign-connected lobbyists to kill this bill. We have the records. We have the calls. He was purchased, and he sold you out. Screens across America were brought to a standstill. Families, veterans, and workers sat there staring, some with tears brimming in their eyes. Tillis didn't just vote against me, Trump continued. He voted against you, against your family, your job, your child's future. Then he delivered the final blow. I will be meeting with primary challengers in North Carolina, he declared. We're going to find someone who will truly serve the people. It was a political earthquake. Everyone felt the aftershock. Senator Tillis sat in stunned silence in his apartment. His hands shook. His phone rang repeatedly with missed calls. His wife remained speechless with her eyes fixed on the screen. And that was just the start. Tillis didn't sleep that evening. He lay in bed, keeping his gaze fixed on the ceiling as the online world went into meltdown around him. His betrayal was political. It was personal to Trump supporters numbering millions. Messages flooded his inbox like flames. Traitor. Sellout. You betrayed America. Republican staffers were in full-blown panic by 8 a.m. Congressional aides hissed softly. Phones rang non-stop. Donors began withdrawing support. One staffer with a pale face crept up to Tillis. "Sir," she whispered, "even Fox News is replaying Trump's video repeatedly. They're supporting him." Tillis gritted a tight, phony smile. But inwardly, his stomach was twisted into knots. He never thought the blow would come this quickly or this strongly. Meanwhile, downtown, President Trump strolled serenely through the Rose Garden with Barron by his side. Betrayal used to be quiet, he murmured to himself. But the people heard it loud. And suddenly, the big, beautiful bill was called back for a final vote, with a twist Tillis never could have anticipated. The Senate floor was charged. Trump's supporters had acted fast overnight. They swayed two undecided Republican senators to switch their vote. The clerk moved up to announce the final vote. Aye, 51, nay, 49. For an instant, the chamber hung still. Then there was an explosion of cheers. The big, beautiful bill had passed. Tillis remained seated in shocked silence. His no vote hadn't held it back. Actually, it seemed to give Trump more strength. Senators around him avoided eye contact. A few nervously relocated their seats. As he departed, reporters swarmed around, yelling questions. "Senator, does it feel good to know the bill was passed despite your opposition? Do you regret voting against members of your own party?" He elbowed his way through the pack, grumbling about principles, but the nation wasn't having it. On social media, there was a tidal wave of hashtags. #Trump wins again, #Tillis exposed, #NeverBetray45. And just when the party was in full swing, Trump put something up that would put an end to Tillis's political career once and for all. The post hit Trump's feed like a meteor. President Trump announces that he is going to be meeting with primary challenger candidates against Senator Thom Tillis, RNC, after Tillis voted not to pass the big, beautiful bill. Faff a moment indeed. I will be meeting with them over the next few weeks, seeking out someone who will properly represent the great people of North Carolina and, so importantly, the United States of America. Thank you for your time. Millions liked it. Millions shared it. News outlets played it on loop. Tillis read the post while sitting in his car, hands trembling. His driver glanced up at him in the mirror, unsure whether to speak. Then the phone calls started. "Tom, we're done funding you." "Tom, our voters are livid." "Tom, we're thinking about pulling party support." He understood. In that instant, it was finished. The bribery, the public shaming, the betrayal Trump had uncovered, it all crashed around him. He'd chosen the wrong individual to mess with, and now the whole world was witnessing him tumble. Before dawn, Senator Tillis could no longer conceal. Protesters clustered outside his Raleigh office, waving flags and holding signs. "Trump stood for us. You stood for yourself." Primary him. Within the Capitol, all felt off. Staffers he once thought of as friends would not meet his eye. Even the janitor nodded coldly as he passed by. But it was Congressman Dan Bishop's phone call, a fellow North Carolina Republican, that most shook him.
"Tom?"
Dan whispered. "You've made a very big mistake. He's coming after you. You mocked the president publicly, and now he's opened the gates." Tillis attempted to sneer. "It'll blow over," he said. But he knew better. That night, President Trump showed up on TV nationally, calm, smiling, utterly untroubled. "The big beautiful bill is now law," he declared, his voice unshaken, "and betrayal has consequences." Millions across America cheered. Tillis, meanwhile, sat alone in darkness, the TV still lit with the face of the man he had underestimated. Another shock followed. At 9:15 p.m. precisely, a breaking news warning flashed across Washington. Whistleblower reveals Senator Tillis accepts foreign lobbyist funds to block President Trump's bill. Screens across the nation blazed with the report. A former staffer, trembling, voice shaking but resolute, appeared on live television. "I was there when he accepted the money," she confessed, her voice cracking. "It wasn't about the bill. It was never about the people. He was paid to say no." Trump reposted the clip almost immediately, captioning it, "Told you, the swamp runs deep, but we're cleaning house." Americans cried real tears, betrayed by someone they thought they could trust, someone from their own party. Mothers wiped their tears, veterans gripped their flags in rage, and truckers drove off highways just to scream, "He sold us out!" And Tillis? He locked his door, flipped off the lights, and glared at his own reflection in silence. He wasn't tormented by Trump, he was tormented by the truth. Just when he thought it could not get any worse, it did. At precisely midnight, Trump posted again, like a hammer striking steel. "To the people of North Carolina, I love you. I will be personally meeting with every challenger who wants to run against Thom Tillis. We need fighters, not sellouts." He signed off the post with a single word: F.O. The media lost it. Conservative voters in North Carolina started mobilizing overnight. Fundraisers were launched immediately. Trump endorsements began pouring in. It was finished for Tillis, and he knew that. His wife descended downstairs, red-eyed from weeping. "You should have just remained faithful, just this time," she breathed. He gazed at her and said softly, "I didn't expect him to strike back so quickly." But Trump never waits. He stands up for the truth. He confronts corruption, and he never lets betrayal pass without reprisal. Tillis had taunted the lion, and now he was hearing the roar. Morning dawned over Washington, but to Senator Thom Tillis, it seemed like a cold, interminable midnight. The phone calls eventually ceased, not because all was well, but because everyone had departed. His communications director quit via text. His campaign advisor left him in the cold, and one of his best Senate buddies sent merely 3 words: "Can't save you." He gazed out of his apartment window as the streets below became filled with adoring throngs. People held up signs that read, "Trump stood strong and the people are watching." Even right-wing talk show hosts had turned on him. "You don't betray your own president," one of them snarled on the radio, his voice heavy with contempt. "Especially not Donald J. Trump." Tillis attempted to tweet a defense, some reason, any explanation, but every response just dug him deeper. Individuals filled his timeline with snapshots of his previous endorsement of Trump and all of the vows he'd made to stand behind the bill. The hypocrisy was too obvious, too impossible to avoid. Finally, he turned off his phone. That's when it really hit him. He wasn't being canceled. He'd canceled himself. Back in the White House, President Trump sat silently leafing through briefing pages. The big, beautiful bill had become law. The country was rejoicing. But Trump's attention wasn't on the win. It was on the betrayal. Melania entered the room and laid a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You stood up with strength," she whispered. Trump nodded. "The people needed to see I wouldn't cave." Just then, Barron came in, carrying a new draft for Trump's social feed. It said, "Betrayal by those who wear your colors is the worst kind. But we don't break. We build stronger. America first." Trump read it aloud, then signed off with one strong word. Posted. Across the room, the staff applauded. Even a couple of Secret Service agents cracked small smiles. This wasn't a political victory. It was a defense of truth, loyalty, and the American people. And in North Carolina, the last dam burst. Local media reported on a scathing poll that Thom Tillis's approval had dropped to a mere 9% among Republicans. County officials scrambled to withdraw their support. Churches where he had previously spoken welcomed him, now were canceling his visits. At a town hall designed to rescue his reputation, Tillis took the stage and was confronted by a torrent of boos. "You lied to us," a front-row mom yelled. "You voted no on food, jobs, and dignity." A frail old veteran stood, shaking but firm. "President Trump gave us hope," he declared. "You gave us betrayal." Tillis attempted to speak, but his voice broke. "I did what I believed was right." "No!" a young teen shouted back. "You did what your contributors paid you to do." The crowd broke out all over again. That evening, by himself in his office, Tillis opened his inbox. One message jumped out at him. Should have stood with Trump. Now it's too late. He shut down his laptop slowly. His hands trembled, his chest constricted. In the blackness, the truth set in. He hadn't lost a single vote. He had lost the people. Morning dawned over Washington, but to Senator Thom Tillis, it was a cold, dark midnight. The phone calls ceased, not because all was right with the world, but because everyone had abandoned him. His communications director quit via text message. His campaign advisor returned no calls. And one of his best friends in the Senate sent him 3 words: "Can't save you." He glanced out the window again, the streets still lined with cheering throngs. Signs flapped in the dawn light. Trump stood strong. The people are watching. Even right-wing radio voices were in agreement now. "You don't betray your own president," the host intoned again, voice firm and absolute. "Especially not Donald J. Trump." Tillis considered perhaps he'd try tweeting again, some final try to make himself clear. But he knew it would not be enough. Photos of each promise, each statement, each vow were available for the world to view. He switched off his phone for the final time that evening. At last, he got it. He hadn't been brought down by some competitor. He'd done it himself. In the White House, President Trump thumbed through his papers while staff cleared the room. The big, beautiful bill was law. The public had witnessed who was on their side and who wasn't. Melania came back, smiling gently as she went by. Barron tagged along, another post prepared in hand. Trump read it again aloud, and signed it with quiet finality. Posted. Surrounding him, all of them understood it wasn't just a victory. It was a declaration of will. A reminder that treachery comes at a price, and loyalty still counted. At the town hall to save face, Senator Tillis took to the stage, only to be greeted by a wall of boos. "You lied to us," a mother shouted. "You voted no on food, jobs, and dignity." An older veteran rose to his feet. His voice trembled, but his words did not. "President Trump gave us hope. You gave us betrayal." Tillis attempted to reply, his voice cracking. I did what I thought was right." "No!" a teenager yelled from the rear. "You did what your donors told you to do." The audience boomed again, this time more loudly. That evening, sitting in his office by himself, Tillis clicked on his inbox. From the sea of thousands of messages, one message cut out. Should have stood with Trump, now it's too late. He shut the laptop deliberately. His hands were shaking, his chest constricted. And in that oppressive stillness, reality set in. He hadn't lost a vote. He'd lost the people. Morning dawned in Washington. But for Senator Thom Tillis, it was still a chilly, interminable midnight. The phone had fallen silent, not because the crisis was over, but because everyone else had moved on from him. His communications director resigned by text. His campaign advisor disappeared, not returning calls. And one of his best Senate friends delivered only 3 words. Can't save you. He stared out the window of his apartment. Below him, the streets swarmed with jubilant crowds. They held signs that read, Trump stood strong. The people are watching. Even right-wing talk radio hosts, once warm to him, had switched. You don't abandon your own president, one snarled over the air. Especially not Donald J. Trump. Tillis, hoping to save some of his dignity, attempted to tweet out in his defense. But each response only pulled him further under. They posted screenshots of all the times he'd spoken positively about Trump, all the vows he'd made to vote for the bill. His hypocrisy was exposed to the world. He turned his phone off, and for the first time he understood. He hadn't been canceled. He had canceled himself. At the White House, President Trump sat silently thumbing through briefing reports. The big, beautiful bill had passed. America was rejoicing. Trump wasn't reveling in the victory, though. He was contemplating the betrayal. Melania entered the room, her hand placed lightly on his shoulder. You were strong, she said. Trump nodded. The people had to see I wouldn't fold. Barron walked in at that moment, holding a new post written for his father's social page. Trump read it out. Betrayal by those who wear your colors is the worst kind. But we don't break. We build stronger. America first. He gazed up, then signed the post with one forceful word. Posted. Staffers applauded. Even Secret Service agents nodded quietly. This was not a legislative win. It was a stand. For truth, for loyalty, for the American people. In North Carolina, the last dam broke. Local polls revealed Thom Tillis's popularity had cratered, just 9% among Republican voters. County officials withdrew their support. Churches which had invited him now canceled his visits. In that same town hall aimed at repairing his reputation, he found himself in the hot glare of a spotlight with citizens venting their outrage. One by one, they gave him an earful. You lied to us. You turned your back on Trump, and on us. You sold us out. That evening, as Tillis remained silent in his dark office, Trump's message swept through North Carolina like fire through parched grass. In a small town near Asheville, 36-year-old Marine veteran David McCullen watched the president's video. His hands trembled. Not from fear, but from purpose. David had lost his brother to suicide after the VA denied him proper care. The big, beautiful bill would have helped fix that, and Thom Tillis had voted no. David turned to his wife. It's time. She nodded, eyes glassy with tears. You'd be doing it for him. David posted a video that night. Senator Tillis turned his back on our veterans, our workers, and our future. I'm not a politician. I'm a patriot, and I'm answering President Trump's call. Within an hour, the video hit 2.3 million views. Trump reposted it personally, writing, "Now that's a fighter." People across the country wept reading David's story. Donations poured in. News anchors called him the People's Marine. And just like that, Tillis wasn't fighting off scandal anymore. He was battling a movement. By dawn, a mere letter unsettled the country, a letter scrawled in crayon, from an 8-year-old girl from North Carolina named Emily. Her dad was a truck driver who had been struggling since the pandemic. The big, beautiful bill might have given him a break, a chance. but never received it, because Thom Tillis voted no. Emily's letter was brief but long enough to shatter 1,000 hearts. Dear Mr. Trump, thank you for standing up for my daddy. He works really hard and he cries a lot. Don't stop taking care of us. Don't let Mr. Tillis hurt more families. President Trump read the letter aloud at a press briefing. He struggled to suppress the emotion in his voice. Even the journalists who normally argued with him sat in silence, not able to break in. When he concluded, he glanced up and declared, voice firm but quiet, Esta es por quien combatimos. No a los lobistas, no a los ricos. A Emily's daddy, and to every daddy and mommy all over this nation. Throughout America, folks wept. Social media was filled with declarations of love and support. Tillis's name was buried beneath a tide of heartbreak and shame. Trump's name, however, ascended higher than ever. By lunchtime, Thom Tillis's residence was no longer silent. His sister appeared on the porch, her eyes brimming with tears. His brother phoned from the coast, his voice low and disappointed. Even his college student daughter, who barely ever had an opinion about politics, had an opinion to share.
Dad,
She started, her voice shaking.
you broke people's hearts. People like Emily, like that Marine, like us.
He stared up at her, his own eyes brimming with tears.
I thought I was doing the right thing. No, Dad,
She breathed, shaking her head.
you did what was easy.
His wife then spoke, her voice level but unyielding.
You let ambition consume your soul. And Trump didn't reveal you to harm you. He did it to protect the people.
Tillis collapsed onto the couch, face in his hands, and, for the first time since all of this started, he cried. Not because he'd been beaten, but because in his heart, he knew he'd earned it. By then, Americans' voices weren't just filling screens. They were filling the streets. In Charlotte, Raleigh, Wilmington, thousands marched peacefully. Individuals held up signs. Thank you, President Trump. We believe in the big, beautiful bill. Tillis, we remember. Parents took children along. Veterans waved their flags high. Farmers rolled through town squares on tractors. News choppers hovered above. All the networks broadcast it. And in that throng, little Emily, the letter-writing girl who took Trump's name to such troublesome trouble, gazed brightly from atop her father's shoulders, smiling for the first time in weeks. That photo went viral in an instant. Millions posted it with a simple text. She believed in Trump when Tillis didn't. Meanwhile, at the White House, Trump sat there watching it all happen on the monitor. He appeared visibly shaken. That's not a rally, he breathed to Melania, his throat catching. That's America waking up. And so it was. Across all the states, folks weren't just partying over a bill. They were rallying behind a president who had pushed back with truth. Watching out of his window, Tillis saw something that made his knees buckle. One banner in the audience held, Tillis, you will never be trusted again. That night, worn down and desperate, he consented to an interview. His staff pleaded with him not to. But when everything around you is collapsing, you'll do whatever it takes to feel like you have some control left. Surrounded by the harsh studio lights, his tie was askew, his eyes sunken. The host did not linger. Senator, did you accept pay for voting against President Trump's bill? Tillis gulped. I voted my conscience. The host interrupted him. Did you take or did you not take lobbying funds? Records, sir. Tillis's lip trembled. I had to fund my re-election. The screen divided with the host turning toward the camera. You heard it here. Thom Tillis confesses betraying the bill and the people. Clips overflowed on the internet. Even school children began acting it out in videos. In one, a small boy play-acted crying over a stack of Monopoly dollars, sobbing, I needed financing. Tillis became a meme, a punchline, a living embodiment of self-centeredness.
His approval rating that night fell to 2%.
Trump shared a straightforward video. American flags blowing in the breeze and the caption, "We stand tall by doing what's right." At precisely 10 a.m. the following morning, President Trump arrived in North Carolina, without press, without ceremony. Just him, Barron, and 2 Secret Service SUVs. He proceeded directly into a small community center where families and veterans had assembled. Emily and her dad were there, paralyzed with shock when they spotted him. Trump knelt down, hugged the little girl, and shook her dad's hand. "You're what this country is about," he said, his voice cracking just a little, "and I'll never stop fighting for you." The story spread like wildfire. By noon, 50,000 people had gathered outside the building. Trump stepped out onto the porch. No microphone, no prepared speech, just one sentence. "You trusted me, and I'll never forget it." People wept openly, men, women, even the reporters. Back in Washington, Thom Tillis sat alone watching video footage of that moment. And when he saw the love in that crowd, so pure, so real, he whispered behind quivering lips, "I betrayed the wrong man." Senator Tillis was by then a ghost in his home state. His name, once spoken with respect, now evoked only anger, sorrow, and disappointment. That night, in a final effort to save a semblance of dignity, Tillis posted a video. There was no studio, no lights, no hovering crew members off camera, just him, by himself, with a phone perched on a stand. He spoke softly and nervously. "To the people of North Carolina, I let you down," he started. "I let the president down. I let my oath down. I let personal profit cloud my judgment, and I apologize." He hesitated, looking into the camera, grasping for words. President Trump was correct. The big beautiful bill was never about politics. It was about people, actual people, like Emily, like our veterans, like working families. He sniffled, his eyes welling up with tears. "I betrayed the wrong man, and I may never get over it. But I implore, please don't let my failures keep you from believing in America." His voice became a whisper. "President Trump, if you're watching, I was wrong, and I hope, someday, you'll forgive me." The video went viral throughout the internet like wildfire, but not with empathy. People responded with just these words: "Too little, too late." And as the video continued to go around, President Trump remained silent. Occasionally, silence speaks the loudest. That evening, the country tuned in as President Trump made a surprise live address from the Oval Office. He had no tie on, only an American flag pinned to his lapel and an expression of profound contemplation. "I didn't come here tonight to discuss politics," he started, his tone even. "I came to discuss pain and healing." He talked of the bill, what it was, how it would restore communities, finance hospitals, pull veterans from hopelessness, and assist families like Emily's. "This bill ain't perfect," he said, "but it's real, and it's ours. Every single person who believed in it believed in a better America." He paused and stared straight into the camera. "And to those who doubted me, teased me, even betrayed me, you didn't hurt me. You hurt the people. But we'll heal. Because that's what we do." Living rooms across the country fell quiet. Fathers dabbed away tears. Grandmothers murmured soft prayers. Kids hugged their parents a little more tightly. "I will keep fighting," Trump vowed, "not for applause, but for every forgotten man and woman, for every little voice that deserves to be heard." When he finished, the nation stood as one. We stand with Trump. As Trump's speech concluded in victory, Thom Tillis sat by himself in his office, wiping away tears. Once he'd fantasized about being president himself. Now he couldn't even stroll outside. The calls ended. The endorsements disappeared. His own party submitted paperwork for an inquiry into him. Contributors closed their checkbooks permanently, and then came the coup de grace. The North Carolina Republican Committee issued a statement that shook Capitol Hill. We stand with President Donald J. Trump and support his search for a new candidate who will truly serve the people of North Carolina. It was over. Not months from now. Not next year. Now. Tillis slumped in his chair, looking around his one-time proud office. Quiet, vacant, cold. And for the first time in his political life, he had nothing left to defend. Just the burden of guilt, and the sound of America standing with truth instead of betrayal. Morning light streamed across the nation like a warm blanket. The dust of betrayal had finally settled. But hope was just beginning to rise. Across America, construction workers, nurses, factory workers, and veterans started their day with something they hadn't experienced in a very long time. Relief. The big, beautiful bill had already begun to make its impact. In Ohio, a veteran finally received a hospital appointment he'd been waiting years for. In Alabama, a mother was called. The phone told her her application for housing assistance had been accepted. And in North Carolina, a single father opened his mail and discovered a notice. Federal assistance approved under Section 4, Trump Recovery Fund. He looked at the document, his eyes welling up in tears. His little girl held him close. "Daddy, does this mean we're okay now?" He nodded, his voice thick. Because President Trump didn't give up on us. And across America, people understood. It wasn't just about a bill. It was about a promise kept. As for Thom Tillis, he watched it all unfold on television. There were no cameras, no press, no applause. Just a front-row seat to what could have been. At exactly 8 o'clock, President Trump posted one final message. No photo, no sensational headline, just words, simple and great. I didn't fight back for myself. I fought for you, for all families, for all workers, for all forgotten hearts in this nation. And we're just beginning. America first, always. The post broke all online records. More than 30 million views in 1 hour. Celebrities posted it. Even the usual critics withheld whispered nods of respect. And in driveways throughout the nation, kids knelt, writing the words in rainbow chalk. We rise by doing what's right. Emily, the young girl who'd penned that letter to the president, noticed it on her iPad. She smiled up at her dad. He kept his word, she whispered. And somewhere in a humble North Carolina studio, Marine veteran David McCullen, the individual Trump had selected to campaign, spoke directly to the camera and with sincerity. Senator Tillis left us behind. President Trump never did. And like that, America didn't revolt in rage. It rose in gratitude. And as for Trump, he didn't boast. He didn't have to. He merely smiled. Because this win wasn't about him. It was about the people. The tale of Thom Tillis ceased to be just a news headline. It became a lesson, carved into the heart of all Americans. Never betray the people. Never betray your president. Never betray the truth. The betrayal was short-lived, but the fidelity of millions, that would ring out forever. Tillis's name vanished, uttered only quietly, like a caution in a tale intended to teach. But Donald J. Trump's name? It echoed out, over rooftops, in schools, on farms, within churches, and veterans' buildings. Because when the rest ran, he stood. He spoke truth to rot. He spoke for the people. And in doing so, he made America believe once more. So if this story resonated with you, if you felt every page in your heart, if it moved you to tears, to thought, or even to stand a little taller, please like this video. Leave a comment and let us know what moment resonated with you most. And don't forget to subscribe to Storytime with Green for more inspiring stories that celebrate truth, integrity, and the beauty of America. Let's keep the struggle for justice alive together. God bless President Trump. God bless you. And God bless the United States of America.